Hey everyone, welcome to Kingdom Builder. I'm your host, Kelly Mead, and today I'm joined by an artist on the rise who just released a brand new Christmas single, Mary Did You Know? Kate Stanford, how are you today?
Well, Kelly, I'm just so happy to be back with you. I always have the best time on Kingdom Builder, and you're just such a joy to talk to. So I'm just so happy to be here with you.
Yeah, it's always so much fun to talk with you, and I think this is like your fourth time that you've actually been on. And it's kind of a full circle moment too, because the first time was when you released the King of Angels Christmas EP a few years back, and
Yeah.
then we had the in-person one at Kingdom Bound a couple years ago, and then I had you on earlier this year when Stand on Your Promises came out. So it's great to be able to have you back and to talk about your version of Mary Did You Know? This is such a beautiful version too. You did an amazing job with the
Thank you.
vocals, and the production is just so stunning to listen to. So how did you decide to record this song, and what was the process of it like?
So I actually decided on Mary Did You Know probably in the summertime. As you probably know, and my fellow artists probably know, you have to do things like way ahead of time because it's like you got to submit it a month ahead of, to have your distribution process and everything. So I've been wanting to do Mary Did You Know for a long time now. It originally came to me just because my grandma, that was her favorite song. Growing up, she would always play it and everything. And I actually got put on to Mary Did You Know by the Pentatonics version of it. They were really hot when I was like in high school and middle school, and I just had this like obsession with Pentatonics, Mary Did You Know? And that's kind of where the like hyperfixation on this song started. And I've just heard so many beautiful covers of it over the years. Carrie Underwood, for example, she absolutely knocked out of the park with hers. So just being inspired by other artists in that way. And also, I was thinking about just, meaning and faith behind that song. And I think that the lyrics, the blind will see, the deaf will hear, the dead will live again, gives me chills every single time. It's so powerful. And I love how it just states about the miraculous works of Jesus. And that was really powerful to me as well.
Yeah, I know that this has become such a modern favorite for so many people.
Yeah.
It was written by Mark Lowry, who's been with the Gaither Vocal Band for so many years, and his version of it is wonderful as well. It's a favorite around my house that we listen to every year. So when I first heard yours, I was like, oh, this is such a, like I said, it's a very beautiful, and it's a different sound to it as well. It's not really, I can't really compare it to very many other versions that I've heard. So you did a really great job with,
Thank
just like I
you.
said, the production and just the way that your vocals are.
Thank you. And yeah, that was done on purpose. When it comes to my own vocal style, I always want to make sure that my voice is very genuine to who I am. So I don't want to modify anything to, hop on a trend or sound a certain way. I want to stay very true to who I am and who God created me to be and my voice to be. And I also wanted to make sure that my voice and the song and the production remained very timeless. So I don't want somebody to listen back in 20 years and be like, "Oh, that was definitely done in 2024 because of XYZ." I wanted it to be very timeless. So I knew going into it, I was like, okay, I want a piano intro, like a few measures of piano, and then I want strings and I want the build. And that's exactly what I got. And I worked with Cindy Morgan and another producer named Jeremy, and they just knocked out of the park. So I'm just so happy that I got to work with them and the product that we got out of it. So
So very cool. And you also got to record a music video for it. So what was that process like for you?
fun fact, one of my dear friends who I met in Nashville through church, she is a photographer and videographer. And we were already like besties before this, but I was like, hey, so like, would you want to do a music video? And she was like, I'm going to be so for real with you. I have never done a music video in my life, but I will do it for you because I love you. And I was like, thank you. So we just took a day and she got all of her camera settings in order and we went out. We really didn't have any plan when it came to shooting, but all I knew is that I wanted to shoot in a church for a lot of them. And if you guys don't know, in Nashville, since there's just so many entertainers, a lot of the times you have to pay the church or like rent out a space in order to film at a church. So we hit a few churches. They tell us no, totally understandable. We were like, oh, I guess, the church isn't going to work out. We're walking in downtown Nashville, just filming around, and we stumble across this Methodist church. And we start talking to the guy out front, and he was like, oh, like you're a Christian artist? Come on in. Y'all can film for however long you guys want. They let us stay in there literally like a half a day filming. Literally the sweetest people. I met the pastor of the church, and he's from Baton Rouge, where I'm from in Louisiana. And it was just a big, like, full circle God moment. And it was just such a fun day, and she absolutely killed it. But yeah, whoever's listening, go check her out. Marina Elizabeth Photos. That's her handle. A little shout out for her. But
Yeah, it really came out beautifully. And that is, like you said, that is such a God moment for the one that opened its doors to you, happened to have this connection to your hometown,
yeah,
and just worked it out so perfectly. I love how sometimes it doesn't seem like things are going to happen the way that we want them to, but then
yeah,
God can open that door at just the right time. And it's just so cool to see when, things like that just come together. And the end result is really beautiful. So everyone needs to go to Kate's YouTube channel and check out Mary Did You Know and her other videos that are there as well.
oh, well, thank you. Yeah, and it's actually doing so well. It has over 20,000 views. And just for reference, I am not like super active on YouTube. I post most consistently on like TikTok and Instagram. And I've never had a YouTube video like this take off like that. And I was like, wow. So Marina and I are super excited about that.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like the song has gotten a really cool response between the streams on Spotify and Apple Music. And I've seen some reels going around Instagram with the song being used. And that's just so cool to see how it can just take like one song like that to really kind of pick things up a little more. And it's just like a beautiful way to add to the season for you.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So, with it being the Christmas season, I thought it would be fun to kind of dive into some of your favorite things about the season. So, what is one of your favorite Christmas memories?
Oh man, I love this question because I feel like I just have so many that come to mind. But probably my favorite is every Christmas Eve, my immediate family, so like my mom, my dad, my grandma, and my aunt, we all go into my living room, and I'm usually the person who will pass out all the gifts at everyone's little spot. I heard someone say that they play Santa or they play Elf, and they put everyone's presents in their spot, and we go around in a circle and we each open up our presents and we take pictures of one another with our presents. And it's just a lot of fun. And usually we end the night watching Home Alone or Elf or something like that. And it always is just so much fun, reliving an aspect of my childhood in that way, doing that every single year in my adult life.
Yeah, I love that. And that's one of my jobs too, is to pass out the Christmas gifts. And then we
Yeah.
do the similar thing where we take the picture of it after it gets unwrapped. And it's just I think that is a really special way to make memories each year, and just to have, like we said, the photos and things like that to look back on.
Yeah.
So in addition to that, does your family have any other like holiday traditions that you just love that you look forward to every year?
Yes. So my parents put up Christmas lights all around their house, and it's just so much fun. My dad does like a landing strip kind of on the driveway, and then like we'll sometimes wrap the trees in our front yard and everything. And I remember growing up, and honestly, still in my adult life, sometimes we have this big inflatable elf thing. I don't even know what you would call it. I guess it is an inflatable, and he puts that on our front yard, and my friends will like from back home would always be like, "Oh, we saw that your elf went up this year, whatever." So I just have a lot of fun looking at their Christmas lights and everything, and then also just like driving around Nashville where I live now and seeing all the beautiful Christmas lights that families put up. It's so much fun.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things about the year, or about this time of year, is getting to see everyone's decorations and all the lights. It just makes it, because it can be a kind of a more, like for a lot of people, it can be a little bit more of a down time. So I
Yeah,
think the lights and the decorations, they really inspire and encourage us to look at the deeper meaning of Christmas as well. Because
yeah,
we can see, okay, so where is this joy coming from that we're feeling as we're looking at all of these lights? So
yeah,
I think that's really special.
yeah, absolutely.
So you mentioned a couple, but do you have any like top favorite Christmas movies that are like your must watch every year?
I feel like if anyone knows me, I feel like you probably already know this about me, but my favorite Christmas movie of all time, and like one of my favorite movies, surprisingly, is Elf. I just think Will Ferrell is so funny. I literally can blurt out lines to you. Like I can shoot them off right now and be like, "You're not Santa. You smell like beef and cheese. It smells like mushrooms in here, and everyone looks like they want to hurt me." Like literally, I will quote like every single line of Elf to you right now to prove my loyalty to that movie. So definitely, Elf is a big favorite of mine.
Well, of course, the best way to spread Christmas cheer is singing
Singing
loud for
loud for
all to
all to
hear.
hear. Period. Yes.
Yes. Oh my goodness, I can do that as well.
Yeah. No,
I
it's so
think I've
good.
watched it. I think I've watched it 3 times this year so far.
Yes. No, it's so good. I'll watch it during the summer if I just want like a little like easy laugh, like fun movie. So
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
So, do you have a favorite Christmas album that you just love to put on and really helps you get into the spirit of Christmas?
Oh man. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't at the moment, but what I will say, I watched Blessing Offer sing last night, which was so cool. He did kind of like a cool Christmas special that I was invited to, which was so amazing. And he sang some of his new Christmas songs, and like I got put on immediately. Like as soon as we were done, I like went and added them, like so good. So he was amazing. And then I also really enjoy Kelly Clarkson, like I said, Carrie Underwood. Um, yeah, those are to name a few, but also Pentatonics, can't forget about them, the OG. It was so funny. I got a hate comment the other day, and they're like, "Yeah, your version of Mary Did You Know is good and all, but like, it's nothing. You're nothing compared to Pentatonics." Like, wait, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of laughed a little bit. I was like, fair enough. Like, okay, not the worst thing I've heard, but
I guess if they're going to say something like that, they might as well compare you to one of your favorite artists that you were
yeah, exactly.
inspired by.
It makes it sting a little bit less. I'm like, okay.
And since you have recorded the King of Angels EP and now Mary Did You Know, is there a Christmas song that you have not yet recorded that you would love to put your spin on someday?
This is such a good question. Let me think about all of the different songs because there's so many. I love a Christmas classic. Oh Holy Night, I've always wanted to do. And I think that I could take it one of two ways. I could do it more in like kind of like a classical, like crossover way and really kind of make it a little bit more like operatic and ethereal and fun. Or I can do it in a more like contemporary way. I have a lot of different ideas circulating about that song. But one of my goals, you heard it here first, people, I want to release a full Christmas album at some point in my career, whether that be next year, the year after that, whatever. But that's definitely been written down in my prayer journal, being like, Lord, make this happen because I would love to do that. So,
Yeah, that would be amazing because like I love hearing your original songs as well, but hearing you sing Christmas songs, there's just something extra special about it. And I don't know if it's just because I love Christmas music in general, but yeah, you just do such a beautiful job on them. I love listening to the King of Angels EP.
oh,
Like the arrangements on there, they're stunning. So people, y'all need to go check that out too. I think it's on pretty much everywhere, right? It's still on like
everywhere. Yeah.
Spotify, Apple Music. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely
And
check
on that,
that one out.
thank you. Yeah. And on that album, I have Joy to the World, O Come, O Come Emmanuel, and O Come All Ye Faithful. And they're kind of like little mashups. I love the arrangements that we did on those. And honestly, I did that back in 2021 when I was still in college, but it's still one of my favorite projects that I've done to date. So I'm still very proud of it.
So, in addition to Mary Did You Know, you also released a couple other original songs this year. When we talked back in April, it was when Stand on Your Promises came out.
Mm-hmm.
And that is still like one of my favorite songs of the year. It's just been, it's like there have been a few that have come out and just kind of met me where I'm at in my life and
Yeah.
stuff. And that is definitely one of them. So, yeah, that's still a favorite. And then you also released Praise You, which is such a fun, upbeat worship song. It was perfect
Thank
to have
you.
out in the summertime. So can you share a little bit about what each of those songs mean to you?
Yes, absolutely. And it's so much fun because they are just so different from one another. So they serve very different purposes in my eyes. So for Stand on Your Promises, I wrote that song with the intention of it just sharing my story and hoping that others can resonate with that as well. And I originally got the inspiration for that song when I was dealing with chronic pain and I was dealing with a lot of anxiety. And I wrote it about being in a dark time in my life. And I think I wanted to just be very blunt and not sugarcoat it. It's like literally I start the song, I've known pain in my heart, I've known pain in my body. I didn't want to beat around the bush. I was like, no, like this time in my life was not good. But God, but God, they can coexist at the same time. There can be hard times, but God meets us where we're at in those hard times, and that's what I wanted to convey. And that song was based on the scripture Nehemiah 8:10, the joy of the Lord is my strength. And that is still one of my favorite scriptures to this day. And I really enjoy the Maverick City Music song. I think it's called the joy of the Lord, and I always listen to that. And I was like, man, I kind of want to use that scripture as well. So that song is just, it's one of my favorites. I think it is my favorite song that I've written before. And I will say too, sometimes I sing it to myself when I'm going through a hard time. The other night, I was having a moment like we all do sometimes, and I got on my piano and I sang that song and I worshiped and I cried to it. And I left feeling a lot lighter. And maybe that's weird to say because it's my own song, but it really did remind me that the joy of the Lord is my strength. So yeah, that's a little bit about that song. And then Praise You is, I wanted just a really fun song that you can dance to, you can groove to, you can roll down your windows to. And I would say it's definitely not as deep as Stand on Your Promises, but that wasn't the purpose that I was intending it for. I was more so wanting it to be a really fun, entertaining Christian song. And that's what I made it to be. And I really had a fun time doing that song as well.
Yeah, going back to what you said about stand on your promises and that being a way that you've been able to like encourage yourself through some difficult times too. I think that's one of the beautiful things about songwriting and
Yeah.
how God can use it in your life as well as everyone else's that's going to hear it. Like it can be a very therapeutic release for the songwriter, and they're able to share a little bit of their heart and they let people know that they're not alone through that.
Yes.
So I just think that that's really cool whenever I get to hear someone share that, even though it's their own song, it can still totally mean that to them and it can help
Oh,
them
yeah.
out. And because I think, like I said, I think that's the one of the main purposes of music too, is to
Yeah.
be able to connect with others and share your heart and like let them know that they're not the only ones going through this time.
Yes, absolutely. And it's been so sweet too because there's been so many people in my personal life. Like my best friend literally went through a hard time a few months ago and she was like, "Kate, I don't think you realize I listened to that song every single day, multiple times a day for like 3 months straight." And she was like, "It helped me keep going." And that just brought tears to my eyes because I was like, wow, like I feel like I am making a difference. And I've also gotten so many DMs just of people saying like, this got me through X, this got me through whatever. And I'm not going to share their stories because that's up to them to share, but let's just say like very heartwarming stories about this song, changing people and for the better. So anyway, I just thank God that he put that song in my heart.
Yeah, that was one that as soon as you started sharing like the little sneak peeks, the demo and everything, I was like, ooh, there is something special here. This is such a
Oh,
good, like, I was so excited to hear the full song. And when it did come out, I know we talked about it back when it came out, but I'll say it
yeah.
again because when it did come out, I was just like, oh, it's just so good. And I'm like, I couldn't wait for more people to hear it. And I think that's one that is going to end up, I think it's going to stand the test of time. I really do. I think it's going to be one that people can still find and like know you from. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's a really good one.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So I know you had the opportunity to play some really fun events this year and lead some worship. And one of the big events that you were able to play was Soulfest in Massachusetts this past summer. So
Yes.
what was that experience like for you?
It was so much fun. I don't think you realize, like, the people who I met at that show were just so kind and so genuine. And what was so exciting was one of my followers, long-term followers, fans, I don't know what you want to call it. He and his family drove like 8 hours or something like that to come and see me play at Soulfest. And it brought tears to my eyes. It brought tears to my parents' eyes who were with me. And it was just one of those moments where I was like, okay, like I know I'm doing this, I know I'm here. So that was really amazing. And I got to meet some amazing artists as well, some good friends. And that's actually how I got hooked up with doing a radio show for the Revolution Show, which is based in Massachusetts. I met Tommy G over there, and he was like, you know, you have something really special going with your ministry. I see in you, in addition to music, you have a really compelling way of storytelling and of connecting with others. And I think that you would be a great addition to our team. So that was a really great God moment in of itself, being granted that opportunity by being there.
Yeah, that is so cool how things can work out from, the different events that you get to play and the people that you meet. And I know with that one, you actually played, was it 4 different sets in one day? Something like that? Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Oh, it was so much fun. But like by the end of the night, I was like wired. I was wired. Like I couldn't go to sleep because I was just boom, 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 boom. It was so fun. But yeah, and I had my friend Jonathan play with me. He played guitar for me, and that was a lot of fun being with him and growing in our friendship in that way. And it was a great time. It was such a blessing, and it's so cool too because I got to meet my uncle and my cousins for the very first time in Connecticut. We drove like an hour and a half to where they live, and I got to meet them for the first time. And they are just some of the most like loving, kind people, and I was just so happy that I got to meet more of my family. So,
Yeah, that's awesome. So looking back on the year and the music you've released and different experiences that you've had, how would you say are some of the ways that God has been working in your life through everything?
oh, so many ways. It's been incredible. I think that the number one way he's been working in my life since moving to Nashville is challenging me to get rid of those self-limiting beliefs that I had about myself. I think that I've grown as an artist, yes, but I think that first and foremost, I've grown as a person and I've grown as a Christian. And that's honestly priority to me. Artistry is a huge part of my life and it's my passion. But first and foremost, if I'm not a good person, then like, what are we doing here? If I'm not working on myself, what are we doing here? So that has been really exciting, challenging myself and saying like, no, I can do this. I will do this. Like I am capable, and that's definitely been a game changer. And I would also say that he's worked in my life through allowing me to find community that I was so praying for. When I moved to Nashville, I remember writing in my prayer journal, I was like, God-centered female friendships. Underline, because like love my friends. And I got connected with Church of the City downtown, and that's where I met most of my like really good friends here in Nashville. And I just cannot thank them enough for being there for me and supporting me. For example, when I released Mary Did You Know, they like booked a reservation for me and we all went to dinner and they brought me flowers and sweet notes. And I've just never been loved in a way like that by my friends. So honestly, them being friends with me has been like life changing for me in that way.
I love that. And I know that from like my perspective and our friendship that's grown over the past few years, I know I have seen you grow too. And I've told you this, like I've seen you grow as a songwriter and as a person and in your faith. And it just makes me like, I feel like proud big sister.
Yeah.
It's just so cool to see. And I know that you're still just getting started. Even though it feels like you've been doing this for a while, you are just getting started and there's still so much more that God has for you. And I cannot wait to see what comes next.
Oh, thank you.
Speaking of what is coming up next, is there anything you can share that you're looking forward to about 2025?
So yeah, I have a few things that I can share, but then I have a few things that are in the works. So you might have to stay tuned on those things. But I have two writers rounds that I'm doing right now that are completely booked and ready to go. I'm playing Jesus on a Bar January 4th, I'm pretty sure. And then I'm playing it's Redbird Commons version of like for their independent artists, it's called In Common, and I'm playing that February 8th. So I'm so excited to share some new music then and some music I've already put out. So yeah, I'm excited to do that. And then there's a few things in the works that are very exciting, just not solidified yet. So stay tuned on Instagram for that.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. And I've followed both of those right arounds on like Instagram and stuff, and I know they're really cool events. So that's definitely going to be a fun time for you and for everyone else that will be there. So I
Yeah.
want to encourage everybody to visit katestanfordmusic.com. Follow Kate on social media because you're going to want to keep up with all the fun stuff she has coming up in the new year and the new music. And also stream her music, including Mary Did You Know, everywhere it's available. Kate, thank you so much for taking the time with me. This was awesome.
Thank you, Kelly.